It's really difficult to think of a time when women in Canada were not legally recognized as persons. The Alberta Five, or the famous five as they're known, who were Emily Murphy, Henrietta Moore Edwards, Nellie McClung, Louise McKinney, and Irene Parbley, were extraordinary women.
Today is Persons Day, an annual celebration commemorating a landmark court case that legally designated women as persons under the Constitution 91 years ago. The women at the center of the movement were known as the Famous Five, who petitioned the Supreme Court of Canada so that women could be appointed to the Senate. They lost, but eventually took their case to Canada's highest court of appeal, who overturned the decision on October 18, 1929. Today, they're commemorated with pink tea parties, a nod to the Famous Five's subversive methods of political strategizing.
Men were traditionally not in attendance at these teas. So this movement, this suffragette movement, decided to hold pink tea parties, really a clandestine operation to disguise what were in reality political meetings. And they would be extra pink and extra frilly and uber feminine to keep disruptors and men out.
But while the Famous Five are celebrated for advancing women's rights, the story of that fight wasn't equal for all women.
These days, the Famous Five are still controversial because their other political views have not aged as well as their feminism.
Alberta Senator Paula Simons posted this video to her Facebook account today, chronicling the complex history of these women.
Emily Murphy was an outspoken, vicious racist who opposed Chinese immigration, black immigration, Jewish immigration, Ukrainian immigration. Nellie McClung was more sympathetic to new Canadian immigrants. Henrietta Moore Edwards actively campaigned for First Nations women to have the same legal rights as white women. But just like Murphy, both McClung and Edwards believed passionately in eugenics and in the forcible sexual sterilization of those they deemed unfit to breed. So did Irene Parbley. McKinney wasn't an outspoken eugenicist, and she was quieter about her racism than Emily Murphy, but her views were pretty problematic nonetheless.
Prime Minister Justin Trudeau released a statement today that read in part, "It is crucial to acknowledge that while the Persons case was an important part of women's history in Canada, many women continue to face discrimination regarding political participation in Canada, including Indigenous women, racialized women, and women with disabilities." Black women at the center of the abolitionist movement were also suffragettes, such as newspaper owner Mary Ann Shadd. They did not earn their right to vote until abolition, and Asian women were left out until after World War II.
There's always more to do, and I think that anybody who has done anything that they are proud of in their life will tell you that you never stop.
As Senator Simons notes in her history lesson, the legacy of the Persons case went on to advance the rights of other marginalized groups, most notably the LGBTQ community. And so while we may raise a teacup to honor these women, this Persons Day we recognize that nearly a century later, there's still more work to be done. In Toronto, Erica Natividad, City News.